It's Pinball Expo month. Jersey Jack Pinball reveals Elton John. Barrels of Fun reveals Labyrinth.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Joosten. I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine, and you can read all about that on pinball-magazine.com. And I'm joined by...
I'm Martin Ayub, and I'm the editor of Pinball News, and I'm sure you know where to find that. So let's carry on and remind you that we are here to look back at all the excitement in the pinball world throughout the month of October 2023. And what a month it was!
Yeah, it was actually a very quiet month. Nothing happened really.
No new games, no shows, nothing. Really.
No, it was a rather dull month, and
Let's get straight to the code updates then, really.
Yeah, this is going to be a very short episode, I'm sure. No, we kid, of course. It was Pinball Expo month,
It was.
And for those who are unaware, Pinball Expo is the longest running annual pinball event. The 39th edition took place in the Renaissance Convention Center in Schaumburg, Illinois, basically next to Chicago. And,
not that far.
Yeah. And we were both present, Martin and I, and we both wrote our individual reports from the show, where Martin is hands down the best reporter ever to report on pinball events, and has included videos of...
I'm blushing, we can't see, but thank you.
Included videos of all seminars, which mostly he recorded, and I assisted in some way where possible as well.
Certainly did, and he made gave me the chance to actually escape from the seminar room for a few hours and go and take some pictures.
You hear that? Escape. He was prisoned in there.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, felt like it anyway.
Yeah,
but thank you for that. Yes, all 47 seminars are now on the Pinball News and website and YouTube channel. Right. Thanks to Jonathan's assistance for that, and which stretches to about 28 hours worth of seminars.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't be there and you wanna hear firsthand what you missed, check that out for sure. On the pinball-magazine.com website, I published a sort of a diary type of report, which includes all activities, or most interesting activities.
Not all, I hope.
Activities that Martin and I had leading up to Expo.
Yes, indeed. It covers from the moment we arrived in Chicago, went to visit Great American Pinball, Mike Nogle over there, and a visit to American Pinball, and
lunch with Eugene Jarvis. Yeah.
Yes, as you say, you mentioned about that, but I don't think you had any pictures from there.
No, I didn't take any pictures. I mean,
well, there was some. We saw some behind-the-scenes stuff, which we probably couldn't photograph anyway.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
We got to play the upcoming Godzilla game. Oh, I can't mention that either. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Edit that bit out.
And lunch with Steve Ritchie the next day, which was quite of unexpected but fun.
Very
nevertheless.
welcome bonus.
Yeah, exactly. And then we moved into the Renaissance Hotel. I didn't cover the build-up because I figured I'm going to publish pictures of the hall when it's set up anyway, so why bother? But anyway,
quite right.
If you want to see what Pinball Expo was like, two websites to go to: pinballnews.com, pinball-magazine.com. And
two very, very different but equally comprehensive looks at our trip to the expo and beyond.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff. I hope you'll find it interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So now Pinball Expo is, of course, about pinball, and almost every manufacturer is represented. Actually, I could only think of two current ones that weren't represented, as far as I could see at the event, which basically gives us a chance to basically follow our regular format and discuss the news from each manufacturer and include what the kind of presence they had at Pinball Expo in this Pincast, looking back at October. So
excellent. So let's kick off with the largest pinball manufacturer, which of course is Stern Pinball.
And I have to say,
as far as we know,
and the largest pinball factory.
Yes, one of the key features of Pinball Expo is the chance to tour Stern Pinball's factory, and in previous years it had been both Janice Avenue in Melrose Park and Lunt Avenue in Elk Grove Village. But of course now they have just moved to a whole new building on Bussey?
Yeah, Bussey.
Bussey? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Busse. And it's much larger, but unfortunately I wasn't able to go. But fortunately, Jonathan was.
Yes, I was.
So he'd be able to tell us what the factory tour was like.
Well, there is a separate Stern Pinball factory tour report on the pinball-magazine.com website with photos provided by Stern Pinball themselves, because video and photo or taking photo or videos was strictly forbidden and strictly enforced also, I have to say. There were basically staff from Stern basically every stone's throw, I would say, keeping an eye out that nobody would take any pictures whatsoever. And so I sort of asked kindly whether media could take pictures, which resulted in Stern providing me with photos from Stern Pinball's own photographers, which you can find on the Pinball Magazine website. And I have to say the new factory is really, really big. No, seriously, it's probably the size of. It's probably. I think it's mentioned 130 square feet or something like. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm used to used to the metric system.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's big.
Did you get to see things like the making cabinets or playfields or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, if you've seen or been on such a tour, you have the usual stations. Basically, the manufacturing of a pinball machine is split up into various segments. So you have the cabling department where they make the wiring harnesses that still go into pinball machines. There's in the center between two lines, there is a sub-assembly of the various mechanisms that are basically put together, and then as an assembled assembly can be placed into a game. There's every...
As the playfield comes down to the line to that point.
Exactly, and then it gets put in. So you start with the blank playfield, which is first dimples for drill holes and so on. So you get to see that press that every playfield of every pinball machine from the past 50 years went through. It's all there. But it's larger. I
was just wondering whether you saw the woodworking area. Because because most most companies which do that keep that area completely sealed off because all the dust that comes from all the cabinet, from the cutting of the sheets to make the cabinets and the back boxes and the playfields.
From what I understood, Stern has their woodworking facility at a different address to prevent all the dust coming into the factory.
Well, that would certainly do it, yes.
Yeah, and that wasn't part of the tour, so no woodworking that we could see. So no videos or photos being allowed to be taken, except for the the entrance where Gary Stern and Seth Davis were basically welcoming everybody in, but in small groups. So a group of 10 people, 10, 15 people or so would come in. They could take their picture with Gary and Seth, and then they would be taken into the factory through a door, and after which no photos were further allowed. Up to the point where once the tour was over, people were directed into an area where the new model of Elvira House of Horrors was presented.
Which we will get to in a minute.
Yeah. One machine displayed behind the rope, similar to the Batman presentation, only that were 3 machines. And there was also merchandise sold over there, but that was an area where people were allowed to take photo and video footage again. So.
Right. Okay. So
and then of course, well, you got to see all the stations, so to speak, or in areas where once a playfield is completely built up, it's get tested, and then it gets put in the cabinet, and it gets tested again, and cabinet assembly, decals applied on cabinets, and so on. So it was all there. If you're familiar with the tour, like I said, it was more of the same but bigger. Really,
and it was a very popular. Talking about big, it was a very popular tour. There seemed to be very long lines of people wanting to take the tour. Certainly at the convention centre.
Oh yeah,
there were massive queues there to get on the buses.
Yeah,
and I guess
and when you got off the buses,
when you got there.
Exactly. Yeah, and by the time I got out, which was probably 11 a.m., there was still a line outside for people waiting to get in.
Right, and
not as long anymore.
Officially started. Yeah. Well, the buses left at 9 o'clock, I think, in the morning, didn't they?
Yeah,
to go there. So I guess it's about half an hour.
Yeah. So the tour itself probably was like 45 minutes. So,
right.
And well, during my tour, of course, taking pictures was not allowed. I noticed that every tour guide had a sort of cheat sheet, if you want to call it, with notes for what they could tell the group that they were guiding through the factory at each stop, so to speak. Some interesting notes, I would say. And I had basically I asked, nobody would give them to me, so I went back in through the front door, skipped the line, and asked Seth Davis, who was very willing to help me to get these notes, and Zach Sharp sent them to me, and they're part of the Stern Pinball Tour report that I put up on the.
They are. I was reading them earlier. I was quite surprised they gave them to you.
Yeah,
but or they allowed them to be published. I'll try to put it that way, because it's. Well, I mean, there's nothing there which we don't know already,
or top secret.
But it's interesting to see what the guides were sort of briefed to talk about.
Right. Well, of course,
I recommend going to pinballmagazine.com and looking at the Stern Pinball Factory Tour report.
Yeah. So and then that brings us to the rest of the news from Stern Pinball. Throughout the
let's pick up on that Elvira House of Horrors then, which you mentioned just now.
Yeah,
that was something which was announced about a fortnight before Pinball Expo happened. It was too late for our last Pincast covering the month of September, but you did get it in your monthly update newsletter.
Right.
But they're producing a new run of Elvira's House of Horrors, a Blood Red Kiss edition.
Yes.
Which is kind of playing on the idea that the sort of centaur type black and white look with red accents.
Yeah, but also slightly blue and yellow.
It's not entirely black and white and red. There's some. The cabinet has sort of blush colours on it, and hair's got some blue, and the candles are yellow, and but it's that kind of idea.
But it really pops. So it's mostly black and white with the red dominating, so to speak.
Yeah, although the playfield art is also black and white, mostly black and white, I should say, and red, but the inserts still seem to be the same colours as they were on the earlier versions. So it maybe loses a little bit of the impact of that. But anyway, it's limited to 500 units, and the price of that is just shy of $13,000.
Right. Yeah, which apparently is negotiable because it seems that some people were able to get the game for about 11,000.
Oh, okay.
But that's just what I see on my timeline on Facebook, and we don't have to believe that. But if you're interested in such a game, then you might as well try.
Yeah. Who knows how well they're selling? It certainly seemed to annoy a few previous buyers of Elvira's House of Horrors, the limited edition owners, who thought they were getting the top of the range model. And it's I think it's easily arguable that this tops the previous LE in terms of features and probably exclusivity as well. I can't remember exactly how many LEs there were produced the first time around, but I think it was more than 500.
Yeah, probably 1,000, I think, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I can't remember. 600,
but there were 1,000. There were 3 editions. When originally there was the premium, the limited, and the signature edition, which was the most limited one and the most expensive one. So, but they all basically look the same. Only you got a little bit more extras depending on how much more you paid.
Yes, including a swatch from Elvira's couch, as I understand it, as well.
Which, ironically, is red, but on the black and white cabinet is not red.
No, it's not. No, but there you go. So that was a new version, and it seems to be quite a common thing now that when the original LEs were sold, or the top end models were sold, about a few years later, down the line comes a new limited or exclusive edition.
Yes.
Maybe to celebrate some particular anniversary, or just because you want to rerun it and have more ideas on what they can do with it, as they have with this one.
Yeah. So, and usually we don't cover rumors. I'm breaking that habit now. Apparently, Stern is working on a new Metallica pinball machine. Which will have a new design and, of course, the color display, which the old Metallica game didn't have. So, but that's all rumors, and it might not be true. But that's what you read on your Facebook timeline or on Pinside, or So don't believe everything. Well, I indicated as a rumor, so we stick to the facts. And the fact is that there is a rumor going around that there is a new Metallica coming. Right. But there was also a new Stranger Things announced last month, or a new run of Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They've been rerunning Deadpool for quite some time.
That seems to always be available at pretty much every show.
Yeah.
And Tilt also had quite a few of those at the in the tournament room, I should say, Deadpool. So that's although there aren't other games from that era, so Deadpool seems to be a perennially popular title, I should say.
So now, speaking of Elvira, you probably addressed this with the code update. So I will just briefly mention that the new game will come with a software update that also is applicable for the already existing Elvira games, which includes a new mode, new animations, and new speech by Elvira herself.
Yeah. That's, so even if you have the LE and we're feeling all the signature edition, or feeling a bit put out by the fact this new one comes out, there is some payback in that you do get a software update with new features and new speech calls included. So there is that at least. But we were talking about that Elvira House of Horrors game, the Blood Red
Kiss edition.
Yeah, nothing to do with Kiss. but Blood Red Kiss Edition. That wasn't at Pinball Expo, but
No.
Stern did have a big display of machines there in conjunction with Marco Specialties.
Yes.
They took over a very large section of the hall.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many machines exactly they had. I didn't get around to counting them all.
Yeah.
But they seem to have...
I'd say about 40. From the top of my head.
Had multiple editions of every current title, shall we say.
Yeah, Venom, Godzilla was there.
007.
Yes, exactly.
And Foo Fighters, of course, as well.
Yes.
And anyway, all the recent ones.
And lots of Stern staff present at the show and in the factory, of course. But designers doing seminars as well on Friday and Saturday.
They had their usual run of seminars on Friday, basically taking over the whole afternoon and into the early evening with Stern related seminars in the seminar room.
Right.
So, what they didn't have this year, though, which we were talking about privately before we came on here, that their stand seemed to be a little less. How should we say, intricate this year. It was really just the machines there, and they had a small Stern shop there where you could buy things like caps and Insider Connect kits and toppers and things like that.
Yeah,
but they didn't have their usual, what we've come to think as usual, area where they do like interviews with people, with designers, where they have like drinks with Gary or anything like, or with Jack, anything like that. No presentations, no DJs, nothing like that.
Yeah, no, not this year. No.
I guess they were doing the factory tour as well, and of course they've just moved the factory as well, so they've got a lot of stuff going on at the company. And it did seem from the pictures that you have in your report that there's quite a lot of sort of empty desks within that factory at the moment.
Yeah, actually, when you
don't know what they're going to use them for.
There's when you enter the factory, there's a lot of currently unused cubicles, and what I understood was they made a deal with the previous tenant or whoever rented it, who had them custom made, and they decided to keep them.
I think it was a shipping factory, a shipping company. I think it was there before.
Yeah, so
as well, they've got so many loading bays around the back.
Right. Yeah, I think FedEx used to be there. So FedEx is also still listed at that address as well. So next to Stern Pinball. So I'm not sure whether they have the entire building or because I think FedEx still has a small portion at the back.
Okay, but we can report, and this is verified by both of us, that Stern are no longer in the Lunt Avenue building.
No, that was vacated apparently a month ago. The move itself took like 7 days, but what I understand is that not everybody who had an office at Lunt Avenue got an office at the new facility, partly because people are used to work from home or they travel so much they are hardly in their office anyway, so why have an office? So,
well, we did swing by the Lunt Avenue building just to have a look for old time's sake, just to get one last look. I expect by the time we go back there next year, it'll probably be knocked down and turned into a server farm or something.
Yeah.
So it was nice to just get that final glimpse of the old Stern Pinball. The sign's still up, still says Stern Pinball outside, but
we should have taken that.
It's all locked up and. In fact, there was someone there, I think, wasn't it, from the city of Schomburg, was sort of patrolling it at the time. So,
we wanted to go dumpster diving, but there was nothing left or to be found. So don't bother going.
Not even any dumpsters.
No.
So anyway, moving on then. So other Stern Pinball news, and
quite a bit. But I'll let you do the Project Pinball charity one.
Okay. Well, Stern Pinball teamed up with Project Pinball, the charity which places pinball machines within children's hospitals across the country and looks after their maintenance. And they worked with Stern Pinball to have an official dedication ceremony at the Anne and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital in Chicago, where Stern Pinball basically donated, I believe, a game.
A Jurassic Park pinball machine, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. I was just trying to see where I put that in my notes. But yeah, it said the patients, family members, and staff have been given their own Jurassic Park pinball game to enjoy for years to come. And this is the 70th pinball machine which Project Pinball have been involved in donating to children's hospitals around the country. So congratulations to them. Well done to Stern for donating that Jurassic Park to that hospital.
It doesn't say whether it's the home model or a Pro.
There was a picture of it. It wasn't. I don't think it was the home model. I think I looked at it, and I think it was the Pro model.
Okay.
And Gary Stern, chairman and founder of Stern Pinball, said that many people don't know that my daughter underwent treatment at Lurie's Children's Hospital, he says. And Project Pinball's aim to bring the joy of this game to children's hospitals across the nation is very near and dear to our hearts, and he is especially honoured to have been there for the 70th dedication. So well done to all involved. And Project Pinball had a big presence at Pinball Expo, including a silent auction where there's some amazing prizes on offer for or lots, I should say, not really prizes, that people could bid on. And they also had a tournament there as well. So they had a very much to the fore, and I hope it was a big success for Project Pinball, and that they raised some good money and way to continue with their good work.
Right. Okay. So then on with business as usual, or in this case, not so usual. As in that Stern Pinball will be attending the legendary Paris Games Week on site, which starts actually started today, November 1st, or is that today?
Yep.
Yeah, that's still today. Yeah,
yeah. At the time of recording, carries on till Sunday.
Yeah. So this is not a pinball event, but more a gamers event, and a very big one. I think there's a couple of 100,000 people attending that. So we understood from Doc Score, who will be present at this event, representing Stern Pinball, together with at least Michael Grant, and I'm not sure if anybody else traveled to Paris with them, but they will be basically trying to introduce pinball, to introduce pinball to all these gamers who are usually playing video games and not so much arcade games. At least that's not the focus of the show. But they're trying to tap into this gamers market.
Yeah, and then expand their market into associated areas, we say. As you say, console gamers, board gamers, anywhere where pinball would seem like a good fit, should we say.
So, and they're teaming up with Social Pixel, who have a booth in Pavilion 2.2, in case you're in the area. And there will be games like Venom, Jurassic Park, Foo Fighters, Deadpool, Star Wars, and James Bond present to familiarize attendees with what pinball is. So
yes, and apparently legendary gaming content creator called Locklear.
Yeah,
not legendary here, but I guess if you're into gaming content, then you will probably have heard of them. They will be hosting a special leaderboard challenge on Thursday, which is tomorrow.
Is there any relation with Heather?
Oh, that would be nice, but no, I don't think so. Anyway, if you are going to the show tomorrow between 1 and 3 in the afternoon, you will be able to take part in this this leaderboard challenge. I guess it's like a high score competition, and he will be, I assume it's a he, will be attempting to take on all comers and play the game Venom against them. So if you want to go and have a challenge against Locklear, then 1 to 3 in the Paris Games Week show.
Right. Additionally, the Pinball Blaster final will be taking place on Thursday, November 4th, with a grand prize winner receiving an all expenses paid trip to Pinball Expo 2024 in Schaumburg, of course.
All expenses paid. Wow.
Oh, wow. Damn. Now we have a reason to go to Paris.
Yeah, it sounds like a challenge to me. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I thought we could rack up some expenses there, but hey, so good luck to them. Anyway, whoever it is ends up, I'm sure it will be a well-known French pinball player who would win that prize. But good luck to them, and
we see you next year, Francona.
Yes, I don't want to name names, but yeah, now you mention it.
Or his son,
Adam. So anyway, if you do want to go there, it's the Paris Games Week is held at 1 Place de la Porte de Versailles in Paris. And as Jonathan said, Pavilion 2.2 is where you'll find the Social Pixel booth 2A001, which apparently
is next to the Village Cosplay and Retro Gaming.
Oh, well, okay.
How fitting.
Yes, I'm sure that's not an accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you're in the market for a Led Zeppelin or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles premium game, good news for you for holding off so long, because several Stern distributors discounted new in-box Led Zeppelin Pro and Premium machines, as well as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Premium. The Pro, Led Zeppelin Pro, is discounted with $1,000, and both premium models even with $2,000.
So this is unusual. So what's the reasoning behind this?
Well, apparently these games are out of production and they aren't going to be remade, which basically means either the license expired or
they just didn't sell that many, I guess.
Yeah, you can buy them new in box. So, and there must be a reason for that. I'm not sure, or not. I mean, okay, Led Zeppelin. I think there are reasons. With Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Premium, I'm not so sure. And to be honest, I haven't played it, so I wouldn't know. But if you're in the market for a new pinball machine and you figure like, hey, I could use a discount, then see if your local or regional distributor is selling these with a discount.
Yeah, this is unusual because normally Stern impose a minimum price on distributors that they cannot or not supposed to sell below, or certainly not to advertise the price below a certain level. And this is, as I understand it, they have removed that minimum price on these games, on these three, Led Zeppelin Pro Premium and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Premium.
Right.
So it's up to distributors to set the exact price, but now there is no longer a price below which they cannot advertise. So you may be able, if you're lucky enough to have several distributors in your vicinity, you might be able to work out a deal there, right, playing one off against the other. But anyway, it depends whether they got any stock, of course, because if they haven't got the games in stock, it's all irrelevant because they won't be able to sell it to you anyway. Right.
Yeah. So and if they have been sitting on this stock for 3 years, then that explains why they are discounted.
Yeah, and of course Stern want distributors to clear out old stock so they can buy new games from Stern.
Right. So
makes sense. No, because they've already bought these games from Stern. So it's up to distributors to sell them on. Stern just made it easier by removing that minimum price on those three particular models.
Right. So, and who knows what else they might be doing in the future? But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, or they just want to get rid of all these. Well, I don't see a new model of Led Zeppelin being taken into production anytime, as it's a Steve Ritchie game, and Steve no longer works with Stern. But who knows? They come up with some sort of, I don't know, 50th anniversary Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles premium edition, and well, then you can pay more than you pay now.
Yeah, although you could argue that Elvira's House of Horrors was designed by Dennis Norman, and he doesn't work for Stern either. And they just brought out a new one of those.
Yeah, okay, but Greg Ferris, who did the art, is still at Stern, so it's sort of his pet project, I would say.
Yeah, okay. I think you're right. I don't think Led Zeppelin's going to come out and going to be re-released, and I suspect the license for that would be quite pricey to renew as well, and almost certainly not worth it. Anyway, talking about various new games, there's also new code out for existing games, and Jonathan just mentioned Vara's House of Horrors, or version 1.07 came out yesterday on Halloween, of course.
How fitting.
Of course, yes, and that includes a new Pew 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 Frenzy mode, has new gargoyles animations, a raft of new speech calls, as you mentioned, and apparently there were some bugs in the game, and they've been fixed in this. Now, what we haven't seen with this is whether the display animations for the Blood Red Kiss edition are different, whether they are also sort of black and white treated, or whether they are still in full colour. But because the machine at the tour wasn't showing anything other than just an attract screen. I think
it had an attract screen with the logo of Elvira's House of Horrors in red. The rest of the screen was black, and that was it. It wasn't even animated or rotating or changing screens or anything. So
it probably wouldn't be that difficult for them to just sort of put a filter over all the graphics and make them monochromatic, but it might require a bit more work than that, of course, because some of the colours which were clear, might sort of blend into one another when they're made when the colour's taken out of them. Right. So anyway, we'll see when that game actually hits the streets as to whether or not they've done anything different with it. I suspect they will have done something different because the title screen will be different, but whether there'll be anything more, we don't know. Talk about other software updates then for other Stern games. James Bond 007 is getting very close to version 1. It's at 0.97. And really coming along in leaps and bounds, that game. I think when it first came out, the people were really concerned that it was going to be such a simple and basic game. But congratulations to the team, led by Lonnie, and of course George has been pushing it a lot as well. It's now at 0.97, which adds a new smart missile feature, which sort of takes you back to the old Jurassic Park type game from Data East, where you had a smart missile you could use to, if the ball was about to drain or something, you'd hit that and it would spot a shot for you. Same kind of thing here. That's available, except you can earn lots more smart missiles and use them throughout the game. And there's a new Martini Award, which is a nice little feature. If you play the game a lot, you'll know that quite often if you shoot from the side flipper up the side ramp, sometimes it won't go all the way around onto the ramp. It will fall back down the right ramp, and which you kind of think, to get some kind of award for that. Well, you do now. It's called the Martini Award. They also added some new light shows, rebalanced scoring a bit, changed some of the rules and award values, and of course bug fixes.
Right.
Foo Fighters, that's got a new version, 0.98, added a new mini game selectable at the start, the Final Battle Challenge, which is kind of all the Stern games do that now. And it's not just them either; other manufacturers are catching up on this as well. You got your wizard mode, but you can also play a mini version of it instead of a normal game. Right. So Final Battle Challenge is added, along with a whole bunch of more bug fixes, more city mode speech, and so on. Venom, the current game, is on version 0.93, which is not doing too badly. That's just got very minor tweaks, just to, it's got that speed run thing where you can save your progress and you're timed over the whole game until you've defeated the wizard mode at the end. Well, now the option is there to reset that at the start of the game, or either just for the current game in play, or for all of them. Rush, remember Rush? Yeah, that's version 1.13. That actually had quite a big update, surprisingly. It's had, we're talking about having the Wizard Mode Challenge as a mini game. Well, that's had that added. The 2112 Wizard Challenge has been added in the gameplay menu at the start. And they've added 74 new speech call-outs as well. Yeah, I tell you, we're excited by this, Jonathan. And along with rules and rule tweaks and bug fixes. And I now have to, if I had a long stick, I would poke Jonathan and wake him up, because we've reached the end of the code section.
Ah!
I wasn't boring you, was I?
No.
Good.
No,
I didn't think so.
No, it's not that my jet lag is still not kicking in.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for Stern Pinball. I think we had quite a lot of news from them this month. So we better actually move on to our first new game reveal.
Right. Just Jack Pinball, Elton John.
Yeah. Widely rumoured before it was actually confirmed.
Well, I was still hoping for Billy Joel.
Well, weren't we all? Yeah, but never mind. We'll make do with second best. And
No.
Kidding.
Okay, so let me before we head into how this game was revealed and everything and so on. Let me just say, Elton John as a theme didn't strike me that much, in the sense like, okay, yeah, Elton John, it's easygoing music, nothing that really stands out to me. I know you're a big fan.
I am, yeah. I've
and not ashamed
a long
to
time
admit
fan.
it. Yeah.
No.
Okay. No. So I'll just say, once I got to play the game at Pinball Expo at the special press viewing event that was set up on I think the Friday morning before the show hall opened. I have to admit, I was not expecting this game to be such a great feel-good game. It's really a great game, which I wasn't expecting. So I take my hat off to Steve Ritchie and his entire team for creating such a fun feel-good game.
Well said. As a long-time fan, I'm really a fan of his live performances rather than his studio work. Although this game is based around the studio tracks, I just love the energy he puts into all his performances. You think it's a sort of laid-back, easy-going, as you called it, music, but when you see him in concert, he's when he gets
energetic.
Into games like Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. He sort of, sweats running off his face. He's just putting so much effort into and energy into it.
Well, that could be illness.
Not all these years. He really does pull out all the stops, I say, to give a great performance every single time, and I think that's reflected well in this game as well. And I only got to play it once, believe it or not, because by the time I got down to this special press briefing, it was about 9:30, and I was next to play it, and then they announced that they were going to shut down all the games so they can get them ready for the public. So I didn't even get to play it during that press screening or press preview. But never mind. So anyway, the game was at first announced online on Thursday lunchtime.
Which was actually during the Stern Pinball factory tour.
Yes, I guess it was, yeah.
Yeah. So I was on the bus back when I saw that they announced at 11 a.m. Chicago time. So and Martin and I both had our individual articles on the reveal of the game, thanks to Ken Cromwell Jersey Jack Pinball, who's in charge of marketing and PR and that kind of stuff. We were fortunate enough to get a heads up under embargo, which allowed us to write this article before Pinball Expo would actually start, because during Expo there's no way we could cover the reveal of that game in proper fashion, I would say. So thank you, a big thank you to Ken Cromwell.
Yes, and, indeed, yeah.
So check out those articles
nice.
on Pinball News and the Pinball Magazine website.
Yeah, it made it. In a way, it was. I don't say it was a spoiler for our trip, because we got all the information and we were both then sitting down in the hotel room, bashing away at our laptops, trying to get our articles written and queued up, ready to publish at the allowed time when the moment when the embargo finished, which was, I think, about 4 minutes after JJP officially launched the game online.
Right. Yes.
So that was the online reveal, but of course that was only so much. No, only showed you some pictures and gave you some details about the game. But I think in a way it's a game which you really do need to play to experience, because I don't think just reading about it or even looking at pictures of it give you even half of what the game is really like.
It's not giving you the best impression that you could get when you see the game in person. Now, often we say this with pinball machines when it comes to artwork, because it's really popping when you see it in real life or in person instead of looking at pictures. But this game had so much more than we understood, or at least I understood, from the press release that we received.
Yes, absolutely. Because I was looking at it originally and thinking, "Oh, is that it?" But then when you actually do play it, you find that various things are happening in the game which aren't even mentioned on the press release, or are only mentioned in oblique terms. It mentioned something like, it might mention like an animated Elton model. Well, There's a lot more to it than that. Yeah, but we'll come to that a bit later. Now, of course, this was Steve Ritchie's first Jersey Jack Pinball game design. So there's a lot riding on this, a lot of expectations. And I would say that when people learnt that Steve's first game was an Elton John game, there was a certain sense of trepidation and concern, because Steve he's known for a certain type of combative gameplay, fast flowing, the king of flow, a lot of bash toys, a lot of attacking and fighting. Mm-hmm. And Saturday Night's all right for fighting. That's not really the nature of an Elton John game.
No, neither would you put in an Elton John head and bash it. No,
of course not. So people were very interested to see exactly what Steve would have come up with, and the rest of the team, of course. There's a lot of people working on this in this game, and how the theme would be integrated into a Steve Ritchie design. And I think, as far as the gameplay goes, it plays really, really excellently.
Very smooth. Yes.
Yeah, just as you'd expect from a Steve game, but I think it's so much more to this. It's all about presentation, because it's absolutely packed full of RGB LEDs for a start.
Yeah.
So let's just look at exactly what is available. There are two versions of the Elton John Pinball. There's the Platinum Edition and the Collector's Edition. So, as we've seen before in recent titles from Jersey Jack Pinball, they dropped the lower end Standard Edition and just going for the two upper end models. So the Platinum Edition has a retail price of $12,000, and the Collector's Edition $15,000 with a maximum of 1,000 units of that.
And apparently that's already sold out.
Right. Okay. Well, no great surprise there, with so many fans. And I think this is probably going to be one of those games which will expand the collector base into Elton John fans worldwide, because it's almost like a must-have. And Elton John also promoted, well, his team at least promoted the game on his social media feeds, so it got a wide reception. At Pinball Expo, they had 3 machines. I think there were 2 platinums and a collector's edition.
Right.
They were initially revealed in a seminar at I think it was 8 p.m. on the Thursday.
That's not entirely true. There was a VIP event for distributors and VIPs, which was actually, I think, 5 p.m. On the day of the announcement. Okay. That was held in a private room with the same 3 machines, of course, being available. So distributors and people invited, which should have included us, I must say, got the chance to see and play the game in the afternoon before the seminar started at 8 p.m., which you can tell us all about.
Yeah, well, of course, we couldn't get to an earlier event anyway, because we have seminars running all day, every day. So it's very hard to get away from those and go to another event. But so the seminar started by everybody being asked to leave the hall so the machines could be set up, and so that happened. And then everybody was invited back in, and as they came in, they were all given Elton John flashing LED glasses to wear. Right. I'm not sure quite how coordinated that was, but
not everybody got them, because some people were rushing to get to the front and forgot to pick up a pair of glasses. But
I was kind of busy at the front.
I got you a pair. Yeah.
You did, I did, and I wore them for a little while as well. So really, it was Jack did a very brief introduction and then handed over to Steve, and Steve's his entire presentation was to thank the members of his design team individually, and in some detail about what they contributed to the game. And then once that was over, I think we played the promo video. Actually played it twice as people were coming in, but I don't think anybody was really paying that much attention to it at that point. Yeah. And so then we did a separate playing of the promo, which is a very nice promo, I have to say, very well produced. Yeah. Yeah, I think you commented on how nicely the tracks were merged. Yeah. In the soundtrack of it, and then after that, basically, they said, "Okay, come and play." There wasn't a huge amount of time.
15 minutes. Yeah. 15 minutes left.
Because immediately after that, we had the screening of Roger Sharp's movie.
Yeah, which actually was slightly delayed, I'd say. Yeah. The games had to be taken out, and then... oh, well.
Yeah, so it was I don't know, it didn't give a huge amount of information about how the game was developed or anything about the background to it.
No, but we'll get to that.
We will get to that, yeah. But I suppose the takeaway features of the games are that they both models include 16 studio music tracks, which is pretty impressive to have all those songs in there. And more impressive, I think, is all the RGB LEDs which we referred to earlier. The Platinum Edition has, interesting, the flyer, it says 1,294 plus RGB LEDs in it. Right. Well, I'm sure it's 1,209. I'm sure they know how many are in there. And the Collector Edition has 1,570 RGB LEDs, all individually controlled, which is quite astonishing. That's got to be a record, hasn't it, for the most number of individually controllable RGB LEDs? Yes. Not counting, actually, even counting displays. Now, a fair number of those are taken up by a really nicely designed curved LED display, which wraps around the front of the piano that the model of Elton John is playing. Mm-hmm. And so that's like a second screen, effectively, within the game. There isn't any other second screen on the playfield, as we've seen in some of the other games from Jersey Jack.
Yeah. speaking of that second screen on the piano, I thought it was a very nice touch that the logo of Pinball Expo was scrolling on that during a track mode.
Oh, well noticed. I didn't stand there looking at it for that long, but yeah, very good. Now, both versions have a topper included in the price. The collector edition topper has 2 LCD screens showing concert footage. I think they both show the same concert footage, and it's not synced directly with the music that's playing because that's studio tracks. But it probably doesn't matter that much because I think it's the same song, but maybe different. It's cut from live footage, so it's not going to be perfect.
Well, and it's not only live footage, but it's also material that is displayed on the display during Elton John concerts, which is not available anywhere else, but except for this pinball machine.
Right, yes, that's right. They managed to get that exclusively for this, which the idea is to be able to create what it looks like on stage, with Elton in the middle and the two big screens either side of him showing this material, which is it only in the CE version, the collector edition. The Platinum Edition has an illuminated acrylic two-layer, I think,
yes.
topper.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's fair to say that people were a bit taken aback by the price of the game when it first announced. 12,000 for the Platinum and 15,000 for the Collector's Edition. I think credit has to be given the fact they didn't try and dress it up by going, it's 11,999 or something stupid like that. It's 12,000 and 15,000, now you know. But JJP have been very keen to stress that these prices include a lot of things which might have been optional extras before, things like shaker motor, Radcal, cabinet decals, Invisiglass, art blades, and of course there's toppers we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. But it's still a bit of a roadblock for people to get over, I think. But, it as you say, they seem to have sold out all 1,000 of the collector editions at 15,000 each.
Well, that doesn't mean that they're not really available. It could be that distributors bought.
Could be.
And they still are available with distributors. So it doesn't mean that if you're looking for one that and you missed your opportunity that you can't find them. So it might be worth making a few phone calls or send emails, whatever.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether that's being sold through any new channels, like the Elton John fan club or anything like that, whether they have them available, where they wouldn't previously have been, wouldn't have thought would be selling something like that.
Right. Surprisingly, I didn't read anything of the game upon launch being available in the Jersey Jack Pinball web shop.
No, same here.
Which was different with when I think Toy Story 4 and Godfather came out.
Okay.
So either a change in policy or they forgot to mention it.
I certainly didn't see any for sale. I was looking on it, but I'm sure if they'd been there, it would have been made obvious. And it would have been in the press release as well, of course, to say that was available.
So, now, there's a lot to say about this Elton John game, but who better to ask than Mr. Steve Ritchie himself?
Yes, indeed. And we were fortunate enough to actually have a time to sit down with Steve straight after. Well, we actually had an appointment scheduled on the evening of the launch.
Yes, at 11 p.m.
Yes. Now,
which we missed because we were watching Roger Sharp's movie.
Well, yes, we were working in the seminar room until way past midnight, and of course, once all that's over, we had to clear everything away, pack it all up, take it back to the hotel room, make sure it's all secure, ready for the early start the next morning,
right?
And try and make sure everything is secured in that room. So, as it was, we didn't actually get out of there and are available to talk to Steve until much later on in the evening, and we thought we'd missed the chance.
Steve found us and he started complaining like, I was looking for you guys.
Wow. It's like he's in the room, isn't it?
Where were you at 11?
Yes, well, unfortunately, we couldn't make that, but we did get a chance to catch up with Steve much later on in the evening.
Yes,
early in the morning, in fact.
Yes, and we learned a lot about the game, and
we did, but we were talking to him at the end of a very long and very tiring day. It was the launch day of the game. He'd been in demand, of course, and been talking to everybody, and everyone wanted to know all about it. And, of course, he had to do his speech and remember to include everybody that worked on the game. So by the time we got to sit down, it was early in the morning, and we talked a lot.
We had a good time, absolutely. No argument there.
Absolutely, yeah. And Steve was very forthcoming, but it did turn out to be a little more, significantly more of an off-the-record talk than we had intended. We wanted to record it and bring it to you here, but we talked about so much stuff that we can't talk about here.
Right.
So
we can't say his next game is
no, exactly. No, and we can't discuss much of the development process either, which is proprietary stuff. But we do want to bring you an interview, and we think we can do a much more encompassing interview with Steve. Also, with the added perspective of being able to look back on that launch and all the reaction from people who've had a chance to play the game, because up until that point we hadn't played it. Well, I hadn't, put it that way. In fact, I don't think you had either, Jonathan, because you didn't play it until the next morning.
Yeah.
So now we have had a chance, and so have many other people, and there's been a lot of reaction and a lot of feedback come back from that, and I think it will be good to get Steve's take on that. So we have agreed to have another interview with Steve, a proper one, where we can talk about all these things, and we will set that up at the very earliest opportunity once Steve is available, because he has other things to deal with at the moment, but he will be back with us very shortly, and as soon as that's available, we will probably be a bonus Pincast that we'll bring you exclusively about the Elton John Pinball and our interview with Steve.
Yeah, and most likely Steve will not be alone, but he will be joined by Jack Pinball, founder of the company.
Yeah, who will be able to give us even more background and context to this launch of the New Jersey Jack Pinball game.
Right,
and
so this bonus Pincast is not going to be available tomorrow. But, I'd say give it a couple of weeks, and you'll be informed in it through our traditional channels anyway. Or if you're a subscriber to our podcast, you'll be notified anyway. So.
Yeah, we have been assured that this will be the first interview with Steve about the game.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and I'm sure that based on the information that we already heard but can't talk about, it will be worthwhile to listen to that once it becomes available.
Yeah, there's a lot that Steve wants to tell you about it, and we're delighted to give him the opportunity to do so, and Jack too. So listen out for that, and it should be good. If past interviews are anything to go by. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's pretty much wraps up everything we have to talk about for Jersey Jack Pinball for this month. No, there's more.
There's more.
No. Oh,
yes.
Tell us.
Yeah. Well, later this November, the weekend of 18 and 19 November, there is the Dutch Pinball Open in the Netherlands, of course, where you and I both will be present and hosting our So You Think You Know Pinball quiz. And we've been assured by Jersey Jack Pinball that we will be giving away some prizes provided by them. And I have no idea what, but in the past they've never disappointed. So if you're attending that event and are interested in winning some Jersey Jack prizes, as well as from other manufacturers, because it's not a Jersey Jack Pinball quiz. We have prizes from other manufacturers as well. But I figured I'd mention that the game will be present. The Elton John game will be present at the event, and we will be giving away prizes that may or may not be related to that Elton John game or other Jersey Jack titles like Godfather or Toy Story. I don't know. We have no idea what we'll be giving away, but it will be worthwhile attending the quiz, I think. So
yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. So unfortunately, I can't even win any of those lovely prizes, but you can. So yes, come along to the Dutch Pinball Open Expo. As you say, was it the 17th, 18th?
Yeah, it starts the weekend of 17th, 18th, 19th, and it's near Eindhoven in the Netherlands.
Veldhoven, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we will hope to see you there. Is that all the Jersey Jack Pinball news?
Yes. For now it is. Yes.
Right. So from one game launch to another,
and quite an impressive one, I have to say.
And not just a game launch, but a company launch, I think, as well. We've mentioned a few times about this mystery pinball company who have been sending out teaser emails under the name of George Spelvin. And finally, they showed their hand and declared themselves as being Barrels of Fun, a company based in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. Indeed, founded by David Van Ness, who is actually a filmmaker. And he has a business partner, associate, whatever you want to call it, in the person of Brian Savage.
Right. I mean, you may well know David Van Ness's name from his work at Spooky, of course.
Right, yes. And I think Brian is also involved in the organization of the Houston Pinball and Arcade Expo or something like that. It's not an unfamiliar name, so to speak. So I might be wrong on his function or the way he was involved, but it's not an unusual name, at least not for me.
So, okay, and yes, I was going to say, and apart from announcing who they are, they also revealed their launch title.
Yeah, which they did actually a couple of days already before Pinball Expo.
Mm-hmm.
As it was already speculated, and I'm not sure whether we mentioned about it or talked about it in our last episode. I'm sure I mentioned it in the Pinball Magazine newsletter that went out, I think, a week later. Basically, people figured out that the license that they based their pinball machine on was the Labyrinth movie from 1986, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. And the game is directed, I believe, by Jim Henson, who we know of The Muppets, of course.
Yep.
It's a bit of a fantasy movie of this young girl, a babysitter, who has to find, I think, the baby that she basically was fed up with and wished that he would disappear or would be taken by trolls, and then it actually happens, and she has to go and find him, and she has to cross this labyrinth. I tried watching the movie on the plane back from Chicago. Not my cup of tea, although I do love all the Muppets and the puppets and that kind of stuff. But I had difficulty staying awake during the first half hour, so to speak, and I didn't watch the rest. But okay, so that's about the movie. Now, the presentation of Barrels of Fun at Pinball Expo, I don't think I've seen. No, let's put it in it. It reminded me of the way Dutch Pinball introduced themselves in 2014.
So it's quite a high bar to beat, the way that the Big Lebowski was launched.
Yeah, but they came close.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they had a rather sizable stand, I would say, with 4 machines in there, printed flyers available as well, a small board desk with some candy as well, and basically there was the entire duration of Pinball Expo, there was a queue of people waiting in line to play one of those 4 machines.
Yes, and I think everybody who played it was very impressed by it. I was impressed right from the very start, even from the setup, just going in and looking at their stand and seeing the fact they had 10 machines in boxes, looking utterly professional, as if they'd been making these games and boxing them for decades. It looks like they were a well-established pinball company and just turn up with 10 of their standard games, stick them on the stand. Yeah, nothing special here. But
business as usual.
Yeah, they are a startup. This is their first game. You know, there was nothing about it which made it look as if they hadn't been doing this for a long time. The game was well built, well presented, and
it turned out to be it was a fun game. Absolutely, I was very impressed with it. The music is quite intriguing. It's not your typical standard pinball music or whatever you want to call it, but very well built, very interesting design, nice flowing game. So really, I take my hats off to Barrels of Fun for what they were able to make of a movie that I was like, nah. So it's a really fun game. And it wasn't only the presentation that they had in their stand, which was very professional, I have to say. They also did throw a pizza party Friday evening at 9:30, where basically they had a wing on the first level next to the seminar room, which is also on the first level, where they were serving pizza, drinks, and such for free, and everybody who entered got a little plastic barrel. I think it's filled with candy, if I'm not mistaken. So very, very nice touch, and very, very professional in the way they presented themselves and organized their the launch of their company and game. I really have nothing bad to say.
Well, you were kind enough to get me one of those barrels of fun from their launch party outside. I was in the hall covering the seminar, Lloyd's seminar during the pizza party, so we missed out on that. But I don't know what's in that barrel, that plastic barrel. But I probably won't, because I've already packed mine away, and it's going to be a prize in our prize quiz at the GPO.
Wow.
Yep. So you will be able to win one of those, even if you weren't at Expo.
Wow. So if you want to win the second of those barrels that is in the Netherlands, because I have the other one.
I won't have one at all. I won't have one for myself. So that's the one. So, there you go. And yes, I think huge congratulations to everyone at the factory and the company who are making this game. But a little background detail to it. We mentioned it's got David Bowie in it, and the soundtrack is not the usual one you may expect in a pinball game. It includes 5 tracks written by David Bowie from the movie. He actually sings on 4 of them, not on the 5th, but he wrote it. Now, the game is going to have a maximum run of 1,100 units, and it's going to be priced at $10,600 US. There's only one version of the game. There are extras available if you want. You can get a topper. There's an alternative back glass available as well, a mirrored back glass, I believe, and custom shooter rod is also available as an add-on. Mm-hmm. And the whole game actually runs on the Fast Pinball board set. So rather than having developed their own system, they are using Fast for this. And the monitor system's quite unusual. The standard 15.6-inch monitor on the speaker panel is fairly standard, a bit bigger than normal, but still not that unusual. But the second monitor is actually on the back panel of the game, and is using in quite a nice way. Sometimes it's used as scenery to light up the whole back of the game and provide some depth to the imagery, but also it's used for information as well at various points during the game. And there are some molded doors at the back which represent a scene in the movie where our hero has to choose left or right door, and the doors are there and the options are shown on the screen behind. So it's right there where the playfield is. I think it's a good use of it, and it's 14.9-inch display, but it's a very wide and short display, so it basically fills the whole back panel that you'd normally see. And you've seen quite a few mods now come out for games like Twilight Zone and others where they've actually put displays on the back panel and run animations on there. So Barrels of Fun have taken that to the next level and using it for proper information about the gameplay. I think that's pretty much what I can think of to say about it, other than the fact that, as you say, it was hugely popular at the show, and they had 10 machines there. They were all for sale, and I think they sold them all. Yeah,
and again, bringing up the Dutch Pinball Open later this month in the Netherlands, of course. A good source tells me one Labyrinth game will be present at the event. So another reason for you to attend the Dutch Pinball Open if you're in Europe or willing to fly to Europe to play the game.
Fantastic. So that's Barrels of Fun, who we will be tracking in these monthly pinball industry news pincasts from now on.
So there's a little bit more news that I can. From the top of my head, I should probably have done some more research on it, but there's actually quite a few familiar names involved in this game. Bowen Kerrins, I believe, is involved in the design of rules, and Scott Denisi will be providing music and sound effects, which still has to be implemented in the game. But still, Scott Denisi, again, familiar name. So and not. Scott built quite a reputation for himself, so it's quite a big name to have on your team.
Yes, you kind of get the feeling that it's almost an exodus from Spooky Pinball, because you got David, who left to Spooky to work with them. Obviously, Scott as well, who used to do stuff for Spooky, and you got Eric Priepke as well, who did coding for Rick and Morty at Spooky as well. He's also part of Barrels of Fun as trying to remember what his role is there, but he's certainly working for Barrels of Fun, and so that's three people that we now know came from Spooky. Or have worked at Spooky before.
Right, yeah. There are more, but from the top of my head, I don't remember who at this point, so I don't want to spread false information or name people that were not involved. So,
well, there's Paul Sulis, who was Director of Manufacturing at American Pinball, interestingly. So he left American Pinball and is now working for Barrels of Fun as well. Of course, Bowen, of course, also worked with Spooky.
Yeah.
It's a small world, this pinball world, isn't it?
Once again, congratulations to the entire team of Barrels of Fun for a very impressive and impactful launch at Pinball Expo, and we wish them all the best.
One final thing, I'm not sure whether it's just rumour or whether it's confirmed, but certainly I've heard several people say that they also have the licenses for Muppets and Fraggle Rock locked in as well for future titles.
I would not be able to confirm those titles. Can confirm that they have 2 more licenses locked up. So, and Muppets and Fraggle Rock would be great games.
Well, tying with doing a deal with the Jim Henson company.
Yeah. And who knows? They might also do a David Bowie game.
Well,
I mean, the connections have already been made, so why not?
I was going to say stranger things have happened, but stranger things has happened. So yes, there you go. Okay, moving on then. We've got an awful lot to get through here.
Trying to wrap it up, but I guess this is not going to be such a short episode after all.
No, well, there's a lot of news this month, especially all around Pinball Expo. So also at Pinball Expo were Pinball Brothers from Sweden.
Yes.
And just prior to that, they launched their brand new Ellen Ripley version of the Alien game.
Right.
Now, of course, we did our bonus Pincast interview with
last month
with Rudiger and Daniel.
Yes.
About that game, which we were able to publish once it had been confirmed by them. It was again, it was one of those ones that's embargoed until such time as the deal has been agreed with the licensor.
Yes. Yeah,
in this case,
even at Expo, the game could only be presented saying that it was pending licensor approval. That's how the situation was. But so Ellen Ripley version with new artwork all around on the cabinet, a different different xenomorph head, new mini screen surround, new apron, and a lot of new movie clips with Ripley's voice.
Yes, that was notably absent until now.
Right. They came out with a new 4.0 game code with the new clips, and this code will also be available to standard version and limited version owners of Alien. And,
yes. So notable, it's not going all the way back to the Highway Pinball version, but only the Pinball Brothers versions of Alien. Which is not entirely surprising because that's who the license is with.
Yes.
So they were also showing a brand new Xenomorph topper, which has a moving tail to the creature and interactive lighting. It was not actually moving as far as I'm aware at the show, but.
From what I understood, the topper arrived in like 17 pieces at the show, and they had to put it carefully back together, which explains why there was a sign that said, "Please don't touch it."
Yes, that's right. So what's the first thing I did when they pointed it to me? I touched it, and without reading the sign. Yeah. But there you go.
But people could see what it looked like, and it looks actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
Very nice detail with the eggs and so on it, and
yes,
of course
you almost feel as if it should be more visible than being on top of the machine, so because sort of be angled towards you a bit so you can see the level of detail, because it's very nicely made anyway.
Yeah. So, and I do have to say that the new artwork package looks more appealing to me than earlier Alien artwork. But
yeah, I don't think you're alone in that. I think some of the purchasers of earlier of the standard and the limited versions were sort of kind of wishing that they had that artwork.
Well, good news for them.
Yes,
it will be available to purchase in the Pinball Brothers web store.
Yes, indeed.
And so you can customize your own game and apply this new artwork or. Some of the 3D sculpts and so on to basically upgrade your own game. So,
yes, a whole list of upgrades that are available for the game now. If you like the look of the new Ellen Ripley version, and I think most people do.
Right, and that's not all.
It's not.
No, because Pinball Brothers also showed. Again, pending licensor approval, the new back glass for Queen.
Ah, right. I knew that was coming, but I didn't see it.
No,
So
it was there. There were a few Queen games present, and one had the new pending license or approval backglass, which doesn't feature the band or images of the band. It actually features the logo of Queen over a stadium crowd backdrop, so to speak.
Now, I'm looking at my picture that I took, and I can see what you're talking about. Yes, I hadn't twigged that. Well done.
Yeah. So, and like I said, it's still pending license or approval, but I really like the way it looked. And for many people, the artwork of Queen has been a little, for some it has been a reason not to be interested in buying the game. But that might change now that this, or once this new backglass becomes available. I think it looks a lot more classic, so to speak, partly due to the logo. But if some people didn't like the drawing style of the artist that did the first backglass, then this is a very good alternative, I think.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was never a fan of that particular style of artwork for the backglass. So an alternative version would certainly seem like a good idea. And this is an officially licensed version, I guess. So I think it's nice to have that option available. And I'd certainly be looking at getting that if I had a Queen machine. Not sure whether a price has been announced for it yet.
No, I don't think so. No. So that will be once there is, you'll hear it in future episodes of our monthly Pincast.
Indeed, yeah. Okay, is that all?
I think for Pinball Brothers, yes.
Okay, right. Okay, so let's look at somebody else who had a new-ish game, at least a new version of their game there, and that was Stern Pinball.
Yeah, from Texas.
Yeah, from Texas, who we first saw their game, their Ninja Eclipse game, at the Texas Pinball Festival back in March. And at Pinball Expo, they were showing the latest version in an unusual cabinet, which I think divided opinion in some respects.
Yes.
And I suppose also galvanized opinion for others, particularly around the price for one of the 100 first edition machines, which comes in at $9,777. Very precise number there, plus taxes and shipping.
Right. Yeah.
Now, one of I guess the overriding first impression you get of the game is that it has a much shallower cabinet to it, mainly because it doesn't have a coin door on the front.
Yes. Which put off a lot of people thinking it was a homebrew or a home pinball machine.
Yeah, home version.
Not one for commercial exploitation.
Yeah, some people say it looks more like a Zizzle size cabinet, which is a bit unfair. But that's a risk you take when you start messing around with the standard dimensions of a game. Then
right.
So some people welcomed the acceptance that the cabinets are only as deep as they are on most other machines, just because they've got to have a coin door on the front. Mm. There's not really much in the way of equipment in the bottom of a cabinet these days. Some people put their board sets in there, others put them in the back box. And if they put them in the back box, they probably put the power supply up there as well. And then all you have in the cabinet base is really like the coin box and a speaker well, that's it, really. Yeah. And the power switch on the bottom, which doesn't need to be deep.
No. So I like the way they rethought how a pinball machine or cabinet could look. And I have to say, it actually looked. I found it impressive looking with the way the glass lifts. With lighting integrated in it, as well as the apron, and it uses very simple mechanisms, for example, for the ball trough, and the game actually played also very nice, very smooth, interesting game to play. But it also made me wonder, okay, if you're a startup company like Turner, why not focus on getting your manufacturing straight and start with building a pinball machine in a more traditional way, instead of trying to improve elements that many people might feel don't need improvements, or wait with that until you have a second or a third game before you start implementing that, but first get everything going in production-wise and so on. Build a name for yourself. I mean, obviously, Turner Pinball is not related to Deeproot, but at Deeproot we've seen tons of innovations. At the end of the day, they never saw the light of day.
Yeah.
Which is, you may wonder, like, okay, do you have to invent or reinvent stuff that doesn't need to be reinvented? But sometimes it works, but I would do it at a later stage. That's just my personal opinion. Interestingly, during their seminar, Chris Turner announced that based on the feedback that he got at the show from people indicating that they want a cabinet with a coin door, he announced that there will be an arcade edition of the game with a standard cabinet, and the version that we just described will be called the Epic version, and chances are the arcade version of the cabinet might be slightly cheaper.
Yeah, but I think he also said that they would be looking to take some of the mechs out of the game as well to make it cheaper. But even so, it didn't seem to make a huge amount of sense that, judging by the price difference, it seemed that it's far more expensive to make this different style cabinet than it would be to get a standard pinball cabinet.
Right.
Which makes you wonder, well, you're spending money to get less. Okay, so you don't really get why that is. Do people really have a problem with the depth of pinball cabinets, other than it's wasteful? But of course, if you're going to operate it, then, well, his original intention was to use a bespoke digital payment system called PinPay to pay for the games, not to take cash
on location,
in any way. Yes.
On location.
To play the game. People were thinking, well, why do you need another system of payment? There are plenty of other payment systems out there at the moment. PayRange is one of them. There's also, you could easily get a standard MasterCard or Visa card reader, put it on the front and charge like vending machines do. Mm-hmm. So you could do that. Pinball has a history, a short history, of trying alternative means of paying for games. I don't know if anyone listening remembers when Jersey Jack Pinball launched and were coming out with their Wizards of Oz game. They teamed up with another card provider in the early days called Dynamics, who had a thing called an E-plate, which allowed you to had buttons on it, allowed you to pick what kind of rewards you wanted when you used this credit card to pay for things. Surprisingly, I checked into that earlier, and that system still exists. If you go to dynamicsinc.com, then you can find the E-plate there. The idea was that it would give you exclusive gameplay modes if you used it to pay for your game. On the Wizard of Oz, but and also you could be entered into a draw to win a Wizard of Oz machine, but I don't think that ever came to anything, and Jersey Jack soon dropped the whole idea. So I think ultimately no one's really looking for another means of paying to play the game. Of course, if it's an operator, they probably already got a tried and tested method of collecting payment for all their games. And they don't want to have just this one title or one manufacturer who wants to do things differently. So having a coin door that takes a dollar bill acceptor or a swipe card or even even does redemption. Has a ticket spitter or something like that, or a ticket onto a digital card. All of which are assuming you're going to have a standard size cabinet. And if it costs a lot more to not have that, what's the benefit?
Right.
I mean, there are some nice things, absolutely. In what you were saying, having the playfield glass lift off in a cassette. Well, Highway Pinball did that as well some time back, and Bally did it as well with some of their games. So it's not exactly
a reason. Yeah, there must be a reason why they abandoned it.
Well, it's expensive, as we're seeing now. It gives the advantage of being able to build lights into the frame, so that was a good idea. The other thing that Stern Pinball have done is they're not using glass; they're using perspex or acrylic sheet for the play, to cover the playfield. Now that again, if you're an operator and you put your games in a bar, then it needs to be incredibly strong and robust.
Right.
And I've seen pinballs in locations, and the cleaners who are going along cleaning the location, they're walking across the playfield glass from machine to machine. It needs to be that strong, and I don't think a sheet of acrylic is really going to stand up to that.
Yeah.
So another reason that maybe isn't going to work. But I think it's good that they're trying new ideas. The back box was particularly unusual in this one.
Yes.
Because the artwork is just a single sheet, printed sheet, and it's got a strip of at the top of the back box on the inside illuminating it. But the whole back of the back box is open. There's nothing in it. So there is literally that one sheet with the artwork on it between the front of the game and the back of the game.
Right.
Which again doesn't seem too robust. Somebody could easily punch that and take the whole thing, and then you've got no artwork or game title in it.
Yeah. Again, similar to what I mentioned, I appreciate them trying to come up with a new payment system, but I think they would have a lot more credibility if they would have first produced a couple of games. Build a reputation for themselves, and then introduce something like that, which is backwards compatible to all their earlier titles, of course. And but at least operators have by then gotten an impression of who they are, what they are capable of, and whether
and whether their game earns. That's the thing, because who cares about a new payment system if it's not taking any money?
Well, it's actually endangering the risk of not taking any money if people don't know how to use it.
Yeah, that's right. If I walk up to a game and I have to download an app in order to be able to play it, and I don't have that app, I'm assuming I've actually got any data, either by Wi-Fi or cellular data, to download it, and B, I actually want to be bothered, and I'll just play the one next door. And I'm also interested in how that new cabinet looks in a lineup of other manufacturers' games.
Yeah.
It might look like the home model we were talking about earlier, but I don't want to be too negative here, because I think Stern Pinball will come up with some really interesting ideas.
Absolutely. And the game played very nice as well.
Well, I'll take your word for that. I didn't get a chance to play it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I appreciate what they are doing. I'm not sure whether the timing of everything that they are doing is the best timing, but I wish them all the best, and I'm really looking forward to what they will be showing at Texas, which is the next big event in like 5 months.
Yes,
their home state, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, you have quite a few machines. They had two machines at Expo, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they had a system where there's a second flipper button on the right-hand side to operate the upper flipper, Now, on one game that was tied, those two flippers were tied, the two right-hand flippers were tied together on a single button, and on the other game they were individually operated. And I think the overall impression was that I got was that people preferred it all being on one button rather than two separate ones.
Yeah. I think Chris Turner addressed that as well in his seminar, which can be viewed on the Pinball News website. If you want more information about that.
Yeah. One other thing which I think angered but raised a few eyebrows was that they say it's going to be shipping in spring 2024, so Q1, I guess, or Q2 maybe, and there's some doubt about that. There seems to be quite a lot up in the air as to how it's going to be made, and in what quantity. But they have this at the moment. You can order one, but you have to pay a $150 reservation fee to be able to order one, which is not a deposit. It's not refundable. That's just to allow you access to buy one of the first 100 first edition games. It says all reservation fees are non-refundable on Ninja Eclipse games undergoing final testing and preparation for production. However, if any unforeseen events should occur, the payment of the reservation fee does not guarantee you a first edition Ninja Eclipse or any machine. The reservation fee does not guarantee you your numbered spot in line. So it just seems like it's another $150 on top of the price of the game. But that's kind of little things which, it puts off. If they made it a deposit and a non-refundable deposit, that would be fair enough, and then people would know that that's what they're paying for. But at the moment, why? It just seems to be a barrier to people who are interested in the game and needlessly irritating, I should say.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, still, we do wish them luck, of course, and we're really keen to play the game. I haven't, as I say, I didn't get to play it at Expo with everything else that was going on, but and the queues that were there to play it. But looking forward to it, and as I say, got some nice ideas. I think a little bit of fine tuning and maybe a little realism needs to creep into to some of those, but I hope a number of those ideas do make it through.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, moving on to another company that showed up with a new pinball machine. We're talking about Pinball Adventures from Vancouver, Canada, and I think this was their very first time at Pinball Expo, if I'm not mistaken. They had announced, or they have been producing Punny Factory in small quantities for the past couple of months, and they already announced that they would be revealing their Elements game at Expo, and so they did. Although you might have missed it if you were there, because and this might be my personal opinion speaking, it wasn't a very impressive booth, and the Elements game was, I think, not working properly and being serviced on for at least the first 2 days of the show, which is not a very good impression to make, I think, if you bring a game and basically you have technicians working on it to get it to work.
No, we've seen that with many times with the highway pinball games at various shows, where the games have at least one of them has always been worked on pretty much throughout the entire show, which as you say, it doesn't produce a good impression. But they at least brought both those games. I think I can. I don't say I'm going to correct you, but I will maybe clarify that Pinball Adventures have certainly been at Expo before. Okay. But this is back in the days when they were doing their series of books with Todd Tuckey.
Right.
And that...
Which tanked.
Yes, we know how that went, and well, perhaps you don't, but I'm sure there's plenty of reading available if you want to know how the whole series of books turned out. But this is the first time they've been at Expo with games, And Punny, I think I can't remember the Punny Factory being shown anywhere else either. So,
well, yeah, the Northwest Pinball Show.
Ah, okay, well done. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jack Pin.
Oh, okay, right. Well,
yeah,
okay.
That was earlier this year as well. So, they were. I think they announced they would be doing 3 shows, and this expo was the 3rd, and the other 2 we just mentioned. I kind of don't like saying it, but if you see the impact that Barrels of Fun made, and you compare it to what Pinball Adventure was doing, then it basically was like not in the same league.
I think that's fair to say. Yes.
Yeah. And wishing Pinball Adventures all the best, but if you want to reveal a game, I think I would at this point suggest at least bring multiple of the same game, so people can get an idea that you're able to actually build these games and have them make sure they all work. You know.
Okay. In the defence, I would say that this was a soft launch of Elements, because there's quite a lot still to do on the game to be finalised. I don't think what they were showing there was in any way the production ready sample. In fact, I know that there will be some fine-tuning done, and I know someone, a well-known industry professional, has offered their services to work on fine-tuning some of the shots, make them a lot smoother, and basically make the gameplay in a nicer way before it's ready for production. But I actually quite enjoyed playing it. I played a couple of games on it. Andrew was telling me what you need to do. I do question some of the decisions made, such as where the displays are on the game. There is a display right on the very, very top of the back box, which I'm not quite sure what use that is. As far it has some gameplay information, but the actual main display seems to be on the bottom apron, which contains all your scoring. That seems a bit weird, but it's nice to try these new ideas. Not as we've seen with Turner. You know, it's all about getting some nice ideas, some of which will stick and some of which won't. But
and some will stick if you have a proven track record.
Yeah,
which in this case is not really the case, I'd say. But still, okay, it's pinball, and we appreciate everybody trying. Although I had distributors telling me that they thought it was a homebrew stand, which I'm not sure is the impression that you want to leave behind if you're trying to be a serious pinball manufacturer.
Well, I think that seems harsh to me, but I understand that it didn't make a big splash with the new game, and it didn't have a seminar about it either, which would have been a good way to help spread the word.
Right. So, I think it's safe to say there are lessons to be learned, and maybe not. If they want to do it their way, then have it your way. We'll see how it turns out. Also, slightly unusual was they had
playfields displayed for Punny Factory, Elements, and also the next game.
Yes,
as well.
Which I think it's a
Ninja.
A Ninja, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact name of it. It's a Ninja-based game anyway, and I wish I could find out exactly what it was, because I did write it down somewhere. But
I saw it. It's one of my earlier newsletters, so I should be able to find it. But let's move on for now. But it's rather unusual to show a playfield, just a bare playfield with artwork on it.
It was unusual.
Mechanism. Yeah. Well, you were still trying to launch your second game, which isn't working. And I can't. I'd love to be more positive about this, but if you don't bring a working game when you're revealing it, you're making it very difficult for me.
Okay. Well, I think we've pretty much covered that from now on. So let's move on to another company which had a very large display at Pinball Expo this year.
Yeah, literally and figuratively speaking.
Yes.
Because they had a very large screen in the back of their stand, portraying a promotional video for Galactic Tank Force, and of course we're talking about American Pinball.
Indeed. Now and you can read about this in Jonathan's Expo report on the Pinball Magazine website. We had the opportunity to go and visit American Pinball at their factory in Palatine before Pinball Expo started, and
that's our Tuesday morning.
Yep, that's right. And while we were there, we spoke to game designer Dennis Nordman, who, of course, is designer of Galactic Tank Force, but he was able to talk to us about that and upcoming games, which, of course, we can't talk about here. And also, we met with David Fix, who runs the company, and he was both talking to us and showing us the production situation at the company right now, what they're making and what they've got coming up. So when we were there a year ago, we were looking around the factory and we saw they were making lots and lots of playfields for games, but they had a real shortage of back boxes and cabinets. Yes. Well, that issue now seems to have been thoroughly resolved. They have lots of both cabinets and back boxes in the factory and are seen to be busily building machines at quite an impressive rate. We saw signs all around the factory where it's kind of like an internal challenge to build 300 new machines by December. So bear in mind, this was I think this is through October and November. So that'd be about 150 a month, I suppose.
No, I think it was October, November, December. So a 3-month period, 100 games a month. Okay. Yes, and it's not one title. No. When we were there, they were building both Galactic Tank Force and Houdini. And the 300 is for the total amount of games they are striving to build by the end of December.
Well, the actual signs up there said 300 by December.
Yeah.
But I mean by the end of December.
That's what I understood. But then again, English is not my native language. Pardon me if I misunderstood.
Well, it's ambiguous enough that I'm sure they can manage that either way. But yeah, as you say, they were building Galactic Tank Force and Houdini games while we were there. Interesting that the Houdini games they were making was the final run with which had all the 3D sculpts in it. After that, they'll be producing the classic edition, which gets rid of those 3D models and replaces them with plastic pieces instead. And also on the escape box at the back as well, rather than being a wooden one, it has decals on it. Yes. Still looks pretty good, but it's a much cheaper product to make, and of course that's reflected in the price of the game. Right. While we were there, we did discover there was some new code coming for Houdini. Not sure exactly when it's going to be announced or released. Well, I suppose we're announcing it now. But there will be some code which will make it easier to lock balls. There's the main ball lock which goes into the catch. Which throws it into the trunk. That is a notoriously narrow lane, so there is a means coming up to make it in software to make it more accessible. Put it that way. But that hasn't been announced yet, and exactly what it's going to consist of is yet to be decided. And there's also another mod planned for Houdini and another one for Hot Wheels as well.
Yes.
Again, not announced.
Not announced yet.
When it is?
I thought they were both very, very interesting, I have to say. And,
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Useful and, it's up to American Pinball to announce these. But if you're an owner of one of these games, then you can expect some mods coming up that might enhance your gameplay quite a bit, I would say.
Okay, but now American Pinball had as you mentioned, had not only a big stand, they had a big presence at the show. Galactic Tank Force, of course, uses real actors to portray the characters in the game. 4 main characters and 4 actors who portray them. And for Pinball Expo, American Pinball had brought those actors to the show. And they appeared, first of all, in a seminar where they were talking about their who they are, their history, and their involvement in the game, and their interest in pinball. And then the next day, they were on the American Pinball stand, dressed in their character outfits, and signing flyers and posters for anybody who wanted to come along and get one, and meet and greet. And they all seemed to be very personable, very very pleasant, and very very much up for the public appearances. So I think it worked out really really well, and there were certainly long lines of people to come and meet them and get their picture taken with them as well.
Yeah, and apparently, what I understood from David Fitz, this is so far the only event where all 4 of the actors were present, and most likely it will also be the only event. He's not planning to do it again.
Yeah, well, not surprising. It must be quite difficult to get them all together, and also have them all with their outfits on, their Galactic Tank Force outfits.
Yes. I thought it was very interesting. Also interesting to notice that for this one event, American Pinball did have, I wouldn't call them flyers, but let's call them flyers anyway, signable flyers for each character. So 4 different flyers for one for each character that they could sign. So you have Professor Plotnik, I think he's called.
That's right.
Empress Anoya, and I forgot the other names. The Duke Kaboom, or whatever his name is.
Duke Moonwalker, I think.
Okay, well, so each of them had a flyer for their character, which they were signing. And we'll be giving away a set of those, including with the flyer for Galactic Tank Force at the So You Think You Know Pinball quiz at the Dutch Pinball Open. This is one of the prizes you can win, which is rather exclusive because from the looks of it, these will not be distributed any further anywhere else. No,
and these were created by Chris Fracci, I believe.
Yeah, who did the artwork for the game as well. And exactly. Who was also present in the booth, signing flyers and posters and what have you.
Indeed, he was, yeah. And of course had his own booth at the show as well, where you could also pick up this and an artwork from other games or even just other prospective titles as well that he's worked on. So he's a prolific guy at the moment, and I have to admit the Galactic Tank Force artwork, everything about it looked absolutely top-notch, totally in keeping with the theme. So it was a really, really nice event, and I think everyone was very appreciative of it, to have these signing sessions, in addition to the regular signing autograph session that they have at Pinball Expo every year as well. Yeah, so I guess that rounds it up for American Pinball, and I think it does. Yeah. So moving on to Pedretti Gaming from Italy. Well, not much news from them, but there is some new code which is out for Whirlwind Total Chaos. Just announced that version 0.7, which apparently has new firmware for the fast pinball system, which Whirlwind Total Chaos uses for better relay control. Has a new speedrun feature, which is all the rage for everyone now to be able to time their way through the game. has new adjustments for the mode timers, and there was apparently some bugs in there which needed to be fixed, and they have been fixed. So that's pretty much it for Whirlwind Total Chaos version 0.70.
Right. Okay. Spooky Pinball. Back to the US.
Yeah, well, last month we reported that Total Nuclear Annihilation version 2.0 hadn't quite sold out. They still had a couple of machines left. Well, good news. Those last two machines sold, and nobody else cancelled. So TNA 2.0 is now officially sold out.
Right. Okay. And of course, we know that Scooby-Doo is the current Spooky Pinball game, which is still available to purchase in every model available on their website. But their Ultraman, the game they were making before Scooby-Doo, is also still available in a Bloodsucker edition and another version, I think.
Yes.
So if you're into that, then head to the Spooky Pinball website to order one of those. Apparently, that website has recently been renewed, although it basically looks like they moved the site from the new.spookypinball.com URL to simply spookypinball.com.
Yes, that's right, yeah. So the old one exists, but it redirects the new one now. So, yes, it's doesn't contain a hugely different thing, but it looks a little more professional, a little more WordPressy now than it did before. So I think it's certainly an improvement on design. Even the content is not that different, but it does have a web shop where you can buy these games, although we were trying it earlier and we found it to be very, very slow at going through the web shop. But I'm sure if you're looking to buy any stuff from there, it would be worth persevering with that. Now, we mentioned about Scooby-Doo, Ultraman and Halloween, of course, which is Ultraman and Halloween share the same basic design. All three have new code. Yeah, Scooby-Doo has had some a few days ago on the 28th of October. Pretty minor update, really. Has combos built into it, so that's a new feature, which you can create unique permutations of character awards as a shooting character orbits in rapid succession to build combos. There's a new Pirate Henchman feature. Bashing Cutler will start Pirate Henchman mode after the multi-ball mode. Yeah, and lots more extra ball opportunities. Ultraman and Halloween are kind of both getting updates, but Halloween's like one version ahead. And of course, Halloween had a new version of software on Halloween, appropriately enough, which also now has... Yesterday. Yes, that's right. And like we were saying earlier with Stern Games, they got this Wizard mode mini game, which is available from the start of the game. Other than that, just like longer ball saves, bug fixes. Ultraman has a new mini mode, Giant Fuji, which the instructions for which don't mean an awful lot unless you know how the game plays. And I don't know how the game plays, so I won't bother boring you with that. But there are lots of new bits and pieces like tweaks, call out, performance improvements. Yeah, but apparently there's a lot more still to come on Ultraman. So if you own that game, nice to know it's still getting some love. And I think that's about it for Spooky.
Yeah, well, they were also present at Pinball Expo.
Yes.
Yeah, rather sizable booth. They brought some Scooby-Doo games and others as well. I don't remember exactly what they brought, but and of course lots of merchandise which they were selling at their booth. It was run by Buck, son of Charlie and Kate, and I don't think I've seen Charlie or Katie anywhere during the event. So
no.
Oh well. That's actually quite usual recently. So seems like Buck is mostly running the company these days. And as far as I can tell, he's still is putting off a great job. So kudos to Buck.
Yeah, we didn't do a seminar about anything this year, but I guess they've already done that. Did they do one at Texas, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so probably no more to be said about Scooby-Doo at the moment until they got their next title out.
Yeah, which actually should be like the beginning of next year, because they're planning to finish Scooby-Doo by the end of this year. So there might always be delays or something, but the planning is that it should be a couple of months, and then we have a new spooky title.
Okay, look forward to seeing what that's going to be. Okay, so let's move on to Multimorphic
Yes.
from down in Texas as well. Texas is becoming quite a hotbed of pinball manufacturing these days. Mm-hmm. There was a sort of a manufacturing update put out by Jerry Stellenberg, who's head of the company, with a kind of mixed news, mostly good. Saying that lead times on new P3 pinball platform machines, which used to be more than 12 months, has now been reduced to just a mere 4 to 6 weeks. So they've been ramping up production on full machines. And
or a lot of people bailing out.
Well, possibly, but I doubt that. Lead times on standalone Final Resistance playfield modules, that's their current title, the Scott Danesi designed game, that's around about 4 months at the moment. So if you wanted to order one now, you wouldn't expect to get it for 4 months. However, all other game modules for games like Heist and Weird Al and
Cannon Lagoon.
Cosmic Kart Racing, yeah, that's it. And Cannon Lagoon.
Lexi Lightspeed.
Exactly, they're all available in stock and ready to ship right now. So that's a good situation to be in. Although rather strangely, if you order a P3 machine, a complete P3 machine with Final Resistance in, you will probably get it earlier than if you just ordered the standalone Final Resistance kit, because they run separate lines for modules that go into complete machines and those which are sold as standalone as add-on kits, which is okay. I suppose it means they get to sell more P3s that way, complete P3s. Talking of Final Resistance, Jerry announced they're making stronger versions of Final Resistance's drop target assembly and the center wire form, following feedback from customers. And they've had a few engineering issues, I think, and Jerry said that they're actually pausing announcing any new games while they go back and sort of do a thorough re-evaluation of all the critical parts used in their games, and re-engineer them where necessary in order to make the whole platform much more robust and fix any issues which they've noticed or have been reported to them. So because of that, there won't be the new game announcement that they were planning for the fourth quarter of this year, and that won't happen until next year, Q1 of next year at the earliest. So interesting that they're basically saying, okay, let's stop, have a look back, sort out any existing issues before we start releasing any new titles. Which is it's a good thing to do, but not every company is in a position to do that. Some some companies have to keep the line going, and stopping that and not announcing any new games is as a bit of a luxury for some companies. But good that they're doing it, and I'm sure it will pay dividends into the future.
Yeah, and hearing this, I imagine that if some parts are re-engineered and replaced, that will probably mean that everybody already owning such a machine will have to either buy or get sent such a replacement part to avoid issues in the future, which might take up some time and that otherwise could be used for assembly of production playfield modules.
True, or it could just be a case that if people report there being an issue with a part which they've subsequently redesigned, then they will get sent out the new part, but not to everybody, only as and when the problem occurs, because some people will probably never experience some of the problems that they've noticed. So it's not worth the time and effort doing that.
Yeah, true.
Now, they also announced some new code. The announcement I saw was for Final Resistance, which is not a surprise because it's the current game, as we said earlier. Version 1.1.1.1 had been announced. There are a lot of changes and additions, including lots of ball savers and basic functions which have been improved or added, which weren't there in the first place. They added some more Final Resistance appropriate music to the launcher, where you pick which game you're going to start off with, and a reasonable number of bugs as well, which have been squished in this version. But I thought that was it. But then I asked Jerry to give me the details of what the update is, and he said, "Oh, by the way, there's also updates for Dungeon Door Defender." Oh, right, okay, so that's now on version 1.6.0.2. That has a huge list of new features added to it, which we are not going to go through. No, quite right. No, and also quite a lot of bugs fixed. And then he said, and also Drained as well, and the add-on game Drained Bite Size. They both got new features as well added, so great. So
and bug fixes fixed.
Of course,
bugs.
Yeah. So version 2.0.0.1 of Drained and 1.0.0.1 of Bite-sized Drained.
Right.
Okay. As you say, we won't go through the details. Just enough to know that those four games have received code updates in this past month from Multimorphic, and or in the case of Dungeon Door Defender or Drained from third-party suppliers for those.
Right. Okay. So James Cardona of Cardona Pinball was present at Pinball Expo with a small booth in which he was showing both No Good Gophers Battle for the Green and Black Rose Blood and Bones 2.0 kits. And it's funny enough, I was playing the No Good Gophers game, and someone walked up to me and asked me whether I owned that game because he wanted to buy it. I was like, I don't think that's the purpose here. You have to own one of these and then can change the game into what I'm currently playing.
Yes.
So, but oh well. It was good to see James Cardona being at Pinball Expo and display both of his games. You talked to him as well, so what did you talk about?
He actually showed me how you install the 2.0 kit. We were particularly looking at Black Rose Skull and Bones and what you need to do to install it, because obviously it runs on the fast pinball system. So you need to take out you need to take out the existing control boards and put in the new one. From fast, and what that entails, and because it needs its own PC to run, unlike the original Black Rose, which runs on the CPU board, of course. And of course, it's got a completely different display to it, and so the idea is that I'm going to get one to review fairly shortly. So I'm just working with working out exactly which machine that's going to go in, and I look forward to doing an in-depth review. But it was good to see. I didn't get a chance to play either of them because I didn't really get a chance to play anything very much during the show. I think I played 6 machines in total, 6 games, I think, in total during the entire show.
Well, that's a record.
It's a record low, I think. Yes. But
more than I played.
I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah, no, I probably played like 10 or so.
Oh, well, there you go.
For a 3-day event, that's not a lot.
I know, so. It's quite shameful, really. But the important thing is we got to play the new releases, or at least you did. I got to play some of them.
Yeah, except for Pony Factory and Elements.
Oh, well, I did get to play those, you see. So yeah, you see. Now who's jealous?
Yeah, exactly. So but I did get to play again Pulp Fiction.
Did you? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Which brings me to Chicago Gaming and of course Play Mechanics. Working together on this Pulp Fiction machine. Now I was able to talk to Butch Peel, and with Chicago Gaming, and I asked okay, so what's the delay with the production of Pulp Fiction, which apparently now is finally in production?
I'm not sure whether it actually is yet. I think there's a production prototype or sample being produced, but I don't think it's actually gone into production because I think they need to order a lot of parts for it before they can get that far.
Right. Okay. Now I may be paraphrasing here, but what I understood from Butch Peel is that the company run by Doug Duba, of course. Doug has a say in everything. It's his company. And he firmly believes that people will forgive you for being late, not for giving them poor quality. So the delays are caused because they want to deliver the best quality, and if it takes more time, it takes more time, but people will forgive you for taking more time. That's the idea why it's apparently taking so long. And I also understood they run into some difficulties setting up a second production line in the factory, and once that's sorted out, then of course games will be cranked out a lot quicker. So.
And also they'll be able to make the Cactus Canyon machines, of course, which have also been pretty slow in coming off the line.
Right. So, I wanted to try to talk to Ryan White, who was at Expo as well. He was very good at avoiding me.
He's well practiced at that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
As indeed are most of us now. But they did do a seminar on the making of Pulp Fiction, which had Mark Ritchie, George Petro, Scott Pekulski, and Josh Sharp. All on the panel there to talk about the design of it, and of course, that they have no idea exactly when the game's going to go into production either, or when it's going to be available to purchase. Because it's pretty much dependent on Chicago Gaming and, as you say, and Doug as to when they actually are in a position to build it. But they did give a nice, interesting presentation about how the game was conceived and the various stages of approval or lack of approval it went through, and how long it's taken to actually get to this stage.
Yeah. Up to the point where they actually delivered the game at Quentin Tarantino's house. So it's a very interesting seminar to check out, which you will find on the Pinball News website. So make sure to listen what Mark Ritchie and his colleagues have to say about that.
Great. And moving into another not another new company, a long-established company, a game that's been in development or been in production for a long time. We moved to Dutch Pinball, and they didn't have a presence themselves at Pinball Expo. Certainly nothing like we were talking about earlier when the Big Lebowski was launched. But they are now represented by Cointaker, who had a couple of machines. Yeah,
they're distributor for the US, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
and Barry Dreesen, the founder of the company, was also present at Pinball Expo together with Rens, who is taking care of the social media updates, so to speak, on or at least on Pin side, keeping people informed how production is coming along of the Big Lebowski. And so Barry was present, and I think he had a rather good expo. I did talk to him briefly. It was good to see him there. So they're obviously also working on other projects other than the Big Lebowski, but I'm not at liberty to talk about those.
So we won't. Okay. I don't think there's anything more to say about Dutch Pinball.
Two games in the stand of Coin Taker, and they both played quite a lot, I think. Still, people like to play that game.
Yeah, I couldn't get anywhere near it just to see what model they had there and what features were included and whether it had any of the extras on the game or not. But one company, well, I suppose one company from Europe which wasn't at Pinball Expo, and that's Hexa Pinball, who we've mentioned before, and their Space Hunt game, which is their launch title. They are apparently working hard to get CE certification for that, which, as we remember from Deeproot days, was always a sticking point when trying to get it UL or CE certified so they can sell it. I think it needs to be CE certified for things to sell it in the European Union. And I'm not sure whether they can sell it within France, even without CE certification. Probably not. So that's a key milestone to reach before they can actually start putting the game on sale. That's pretty much all we have, all the news I have from Hexa Pinball at the moment.
Okay. So, well, then...
one company that wasn't there.
From one to another. Haggis Pinball from Australia. Last year represented in the Fast Pinball booth with a Fathom game. But this year, I don't recall seeing any Haggis Pinball machines on the floor, whether it be Fathom or Centaur Revisited that was announced not so long ago.
Yeah, or Celts.
Yeah, exactly. So, but apparently they are still cranking out Fathom Revisited, albeit at a very slow pace. So, oh well, best of luck with that, and we look forward to seeing them again at a big US convention.
They normally support Texas, don't they? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see them there. See Damien and Martin there. Giving us updates.
And there was another pinball company not represented at all, and then we're talking about Homepin from Taiwan. So and no presence means no representative at the show, but also no game. So This is Spinal Tap was not present at the show, which is a pity because I was curious to see that game in person.
Yeah, no Thunderbirds either, as far as I can tell.
No,
which
and no news from the company also the entire month, other than Mike Kalinowski, the owner, assisting someone who imported a bunch of games from other manufacturers in actually getting them to work because there was several technical issues with them. So he posted about that on the Homepin Factory Facebook page, but no updates on the production of This is Spinal Tap.
Oh, okay. Well, if there's no news from them, let's have a quick scan of some of the other companies we haven't got any news from. I don't think we've got anything from Bigtronic in Spain.
No.
STR Pinball, which we keep saying we should take out the list, but they're still there, still hanging in there, and I hope that something will happen.
I'll take them out myself.
Okay. Quetzal Pinball, still no news on when Tokyo Perfect Drift is actually going to go into production.
Yeah, no, still not. So, Circus Maximus, we reported, I think, last month that the Kingpin project and the Pinball Circus project are considered to be dead, and we had no verification whatsoever. I had reached out to James Laughlin, who runs Circus Maximus, or run. At this point, that's not sure, but we did get some new information that explained, if true, what happened. And as it turns out, James has been battling the sister of Python Angelo, Uli, for years now. And Uli's has always been trying to claim the estate of Python Angelo, and having been at Python's place and hearing him talk about his sister, it's fair to say that they did not get along very well. And as far as I remember, Python didn't want his sister to have anything to do with his art or his legacy or whatsoever, but apparently she had other ideas. So she went to court. She fought James, who was at that point trying to build Pinball Circus and Kingpin. In many instances, James won court cases, and then she would find another argument and go back. Apparently, the last time she actually won in court, and there was a date set to which James could appeal against that ruling, and that expired without him doing so. And apparently that was the nail in the coffin for that project.
Right. So it seems like she now owns his estate. She inherited his artwork, or what there is of it, what hasn't already been sold off.
Right.
Anything left is now presumably belongs to Uli, his Python sister.
Right. Yes. And well, we'll just have to wait and see what she's planning to do with it.
Oh, so, what there is of it? You know, what is left?
Yeah, well, that's one thing. I know that James sold off a lot of artwork on eBay, and when I say artwork, I mean the original Pinbot mock-up sketch. Yeah. The dual layered one is one of the items that was sold off on eBay a few years ago. Hand-drawn artwork. Lots of sketches that were basically lying on Python's desk in a pile of stuff that needed to be sorted out. A lot of that was sold off on eBay. At that point, I understood to fund the Kingpin project, and in the end, it turned out to be for nothing.
Well, it just hasn't gone anywhere, and nothing has happened to it for a long time now.
Right, but it doesn't mean the money is still there.
No, well, quite. We don't. Well, as I say, we don't know what happened to that, but it's none of our business. It's we have no money. No. We have no coin in the game, so it's
yeah. So,
but even so, it's interesting development, and there could be the end of the final nail in the coffin of Python's Pinball Circus remake project, if it actually wasn't already dead.
Right. So, still wish best of luck to James and Paul. Paul was also part of that project, and hope to be able to report on that story someday in the future.
It would be nice if it could actually be wrapped up in a positive way at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so other news. So we covered all the pinball manufacturers, I think, at the moment. So
yeah.
Or is there a new one?
Well, there might be a new one. We both received an email indicating that there is a company, and we don't know which one, working on a pinball themed after The Princess Bride.
Yeah, and we all went, what? Isn't that some kind of kids' cartoon or something like that? But apparently not.
No.
The email basically directed you to a website which is www.theprincessbridepinball.com, which is basically says, will The Princess Bride make a great pinball game? ? Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles. It's an incredible game. And then it asks you to sign up for updates on the progress of it.
A newsletter, So you have to enter your email address, and when you do that, it says, thank you for your interest in the upcoming The Princess Bride pinball machine. We will share more information in the coming weeks and months. We cannot wait to share this amazing pinball experience that brings this beloved cinematic masterpiece to life.
Well, no indication who it's from, or who's involved. So
I think didn't we do a who is?
We did, but it was
it points.
It was Finland,
Iceland.
Oh, Iceland, was it? Yeah, Reykjavik, wasn't it? That's right. Yeah.
So,
wow.
We'll just have to see whether that's the address of an internet provider or a URL.
Web host or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So, or whether they are actually in Iceland, which would be the first Iceland pinball manufacturer, make them the biggest of the country immediately.
Well, that's one claim to fame before anything else. Okay. Other news. We mentioned earlier that on our Pinball Expo trip, we had the opportunity to go and meet Eugene Jarvis, who, of course, runs Raw Thrills, the arcade game manufacturer and developer, and went to their factory and saw some of the games that are in development, which we can't talk about.
No, but they will be revealed at IAPA later this month, and that's in Florida.
It is, yes, good point, yeah. But suffice to say, well, I think you already mentioned one of them, but we had a great time playing a VR game, which is, I think, for me, I'm not really a fan of video games or immersive video games like that, but this one, and this one I'd put money in and play. It was quite awesome. So watch out for their latest fully immersive VR game with movable seats and complete surround sound and the VR headset and everything. It's great fun. I mean, it's one of those ones where you've got a limited amount of control, to be honest. But it's a good two-player game where you can battle your partner and try and shoot more things than they do, and that's pretty much the gist of the game. And it's a great ride.
Right. So now you may wonder, why were we having lunch with Eugene Jarvis? And well, Eugene Jarvis and I go back to the days when I started working on the Python Angelo issue of Pinball Magazine, which still has to be finished. And basically, Eugene was there to urge me to finish it.
One of many to urge you to finish it.
Actually, yes. That seemed like the red thread throughout the Pinball Expo. There were quite a few people that were urging me to finish the Python Angelo issue as they can't wait to read it. And so, okay, that's once well, this is a busy month, but I will get back on that and try to finish it. And maybe I should just publish it and see what I will do with what's left on the table. So, but
talking of publications. we can announce that Ryan Clayto, remember Ryan, teamed up with Nick Baldridge to do a Coin-Op Carnival. Of course, he has a new publication out, a book called One Bite at a Time, which launched today, actually. Well, it's yesterday now, but on the 1st of November, he launched a new Kickstarter project, which is for a very lavish-looking book, which celebrates 20 years of his Elephant Eater imprint. He is doing an online tour to promote the book, and the book looks at the process that he goes through in order to create publications like Coin-Op Carnival, things like Mr. Jones pinball watches that he's done. It's not all pinball, but various different publications that he's done over the years, and shows you how he does it. And it's quite an innovative book, the way it's created. And if you want to find out more about that, then he is doing a 1 month long promotional online tour throughout the month of November. And I'm pleased to say that Pinball News will be part of that. I think we have an article and an interview with Ryan all about his One Bite at a Time book and Kickstarter project. And I think that's going to go live on the 7th of November. So watch out for that. Otherwise, go to, I'll look for the URL, but if you go to Kickstarter and search for One Bite at a Time, or even just Google One Bite at a Time book, I'm sure you'll find out all the details of what it's about, how you can buy it, and where you can read more about it. And, of course, check out Pinball News from the 7th onwards, where we'll also have all that information for you.
Oh, sounds interesting. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's a good book. Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on, Brian Allen, who has been known for making alternative translite art for various pinball machines, produced a new pinball translite, this time for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah,
he was showing it at Pinball Expo on his stand alongside all his other translites. And I think it's a nice one. Yeah, I think. Yeah. I'm not always necessarily a fan of redoing translite art in a very broadly similar design to the way that it was done the first time. But this one is significantly different, and I think probably better because it's less about the movie, I think, and more about Dracula himself and his story. So I think it's a nice and a nice looking translite. And if I had the game, I'd probably get it.
Okay, good. Well, best of luck to Brian with his artwork, and we look forward to other new alternative pinball translites and whatever else he's working on. So, as we mentioned earlier, there is the Dutch Pinball Open Expo coming up this month in Veldhoven, which is on the outskirts of Eindhoven in the Netherlands. We'll both be there holding our quiz. If you're able to come over, it will be your chance to win some very, I would almost say, rare, at least in Europe, items that we'll be giving away if you know your answers correct and you're having luck with the money that you'll or the prize that you will be drawing.
Yes, that's right. Yes, because the winners, when we get down to the last few correct answers, we just ask everybody to pick a raffle ticket, and the raffle ticket relates to a prize. So it's pretty much a lucky dip is exactly what you get. You may get a major prize, you may get a smaller prize, but it's all good stuff. Anyway,
yeah,
and it's all free. So so come along.
Last but not least, you have some news on the never-ending story of Deep Root Pinball.
Well, a little bit. We're kind of waiting at the moment, or at least we were last time I checked. If you remember last month, which I mentioned about the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, had applied for a summary judgment on the case against Robert Mueller in relation to the Deep Root funds and how they were spent and or invested. or not invested, and how the money was spent on a pinball company. At the moment, we're still waiting on the judgment from the judges as to whether a summary judgment will be handed down or not. But in the absence of that, the court case, or the impending court case, rolls ever closer. There have been lots of interesting documents submitted for evidence in this court case, including many financial statements about the company's balance sheet, information and videos of upcoming game titles that we may not have seen before, for titles like Goonies and Machine Age. Things like details about how Raza was Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland would be built, were it ever to be built, including things like the bill of materials for it, and even a Pinball News article about the launch of that game has been submitted to the court for inclusion as evidence. If it goes to court, who might be called as a witness? Well, one person who might be called, as we mentioned earlier, is one Chris Turner of Turner Pinball. Of course, was looking after the financial software for Deeproot, and will have a unique insight into exactly how the company was run. But that's all. Maybe the summary judgment might come along and render all of that unnecessary. But we'll wait for that, and we'll bring you details of that next month in our next Pincast.
Right. Yeah. But before, or hopefully before that next Pincast, we'll have a bonus episode, which we mentioned earlier, with Steve Ritchie and Jack Guarnieri of Jersey Jack Pinball, discussing the new recently launched Elton John game. Keep your eyes open on social media, or your subscribe to our podcast so you get notified when that episode goes live. Absolutely right. Yeah. Other than that, we'll be back at the start of December, I guess, with our next regular monthly Pincast, looking back at all the events in the pinball industry and the pinball world throughout this month of November. So until then, yeah. From me, Martin Ayub of Pinball News, and me, Jonathan Joosten of Pinball Magazine. We wish you a fantastic November, and we'll see you next month for another Pincast. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.